This is the 526 week 3.1 presentation over dealing with challenging personalities. The strategy I chose from the appendix that comes on page 70 is the must be right challenging personality. So what I'm going to do here is give you the facts and talk about the scenario and what's going on, and then I will give you what I think is the start of the problem, and then go on with some different strategies to help with the issue, kind of decrease the tense in it, and then I will talk about some alternatives if the challenging personalities person doesn't want to do and meet with the coach and stuff like that at the end. It starts off, there's the secretary's on a phone. The parent jumps in the offices and demands the AD right now. You can tell they're pretty upset about the case. So the secretary hangs up the phone. She tells that she's pretty upset. So she gets them back into their room, to quiet the situation down, and the AD they come out, and then he says, "You indicated that you wanted some information over some answers," and he says, "Yes, you're right, I do." And then so the AD said, "I can see that something's really bothering you," and then the irate parent, they say, well, it doesn't take rocket science to see this. So that you can tell they're very furious going into it. They want the answers. It comes to find out that he's saying that Coach Johnson, whoever coach this is for a different sport, is not fair. So the AD in this situation asks, "So what do you mean? Why isn't he fair? Give me some situations." And the parent thinks, since he does his schoolwork, he never cuts class, he doesn't miss practice, and he's a senior going into this year, he never gets to play. So the AD here, he gets all the information he needs, kind of comprehends it, and reiterates the information back to him to kind of get more out of him, to help the situation, get with facts and details about it, and kind of go off that to help resolve some issues going on. Then he goes down later on, back and forth conversation. The AD does a very good job here of calming down the situation. You can tell towards the end that the parent, he's starting to calm down more and more, because he's been asked all these questions and more details, and he hasn't thought about it because he's upset. So he went straight in there. Didn't really think about things before he went in there. He just wants to change it without giving all the facts and details. So the AD, he understands that things aren't fair. Yes, he wants everybody to go to athletic scholarship, but there's plenty of kids out there. Not everybody gets to do it. Parent talks about he's going all these summer camps every summer. The coach isn't telling him why he's not playing and anything like that. And the AD said, "What would you like to see happen?" I said, "Play him, or at least talk to him more. Tell him what he needs to get better with and play more." And then the AD asks a very good question. He says, "Well, has your son talked to the coach about it?" And he says, doesn't the coach need to talk to the kid?" Which right there, kind of, you can tell the communication level isn't there between the player, coach, and then goes to parents, the entire program. Later on, it talks about more concerns. The fact that he's a senior, does that mean something? The AD, responds back to him and say, "Yes, we appreciate his loyalty and hard work, and I'm sure he has a place on that team that it's more than what he thinks, even though he's not playing." Then he talks about, "Would you like to meet with the coach and myself along with your son about the problem?" And then he says, "No, I would not. If that's not going to change the problem, we're not going to do anything." So right there, you can tell that there's not a whole lot of communication going on. in the program. But the AD here does a great job of focusing up and deciding, I need to calm this guy down, get the details so I can comprehend things. So pretty much the root of the problem, I feel like, is the communication level in the program between the player and the coach, and then ultimately the parent. But obviously the parent wants the best for their son, but he's not thinking things through in this situation. So he's rather using his challenging personality to try to change the situation instead of taking a step back and thinking, what's the best way to go about changing this instead of being irate. But there's some strategies to decrease the issue at hand and ultimately eliminate it. As the athletic director here, he did a great job of listening to the issue from the challenging personality. He also did a good job of getting all the facts and reiterating this challenging personality, everything he's been saying. He also stays calm about the issue and makes sure to not show emotions, because as an AD, if you show emotions back to the upset parent, it's going to cause a bigger reaction and bigger argument going on, which is not what you need at this situation. And another thing that the AD did good and very well here is he processed the facts along with the issue. He took the issue and kind of, he dissected it, like why do we have this issue? Why have we gotten this far? There's obviously more to it, but some alternatives, since he doesn't schedule a meeting with the parent, player, and coach, making sure they're on the same page. If that doesn't work, you can keep talking to them, get that communication level. As the AD here, I'd go to the coach and talk and tell him, obviously communication's not here. You need to start, kind of comprehending what you're doing, and then reaching out to the kids and saying, hey, this is what you need to work on. You'll play more if you do this. Another thing comes with the players. They hold themselves more accountable in their sport, ask questions to the coach. I mean, it's hard to coach so many kids. He can't just go around saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. He's got time. He's got other things to do. Obviously, he probably teaches at this high school as well. So just talking about things, ways to improve, get the playing time they want, and being aware of the things that they want going on in that program. As an athletic director in this situation, this will happen almost once a year, if not even more. Maybe not to a certain extent like this, being irate. But there will be questions asked, like, hey, why isn't this coach playing my son? Those things will happen. It's just, it's the nature that we live in, different levels, especially right now, all athletic scholarships are bigger and bigger and bigger growing up. But, the communication level, as a athletic director, I would want to talk to the entire athletic staff to discuss that we need to make sure at least once a week, 2 weeks or so often throughout the season, even the spring or the off season, to talk about what they need to develop, what they've gotten better at, what the next step is for them. Why aren't they playing as much? Why did they play and they haven't been anymore? Just keeping in contact with them, because that communication will lead to better communication between the player and the parents, which will ultimately, decrease all these issues. If anything, it'll create, there might be still issues, questions about it, but then it's not as intense as like this one was. So that's my thoughts about the challenging personalities for this 3.1 video presentation.